All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dentment Podcast. Man, I am excited for this podcast because I got Mr. MB, the head of the client at Advanta Vice. And this
Yes.
gentleman is medical and dental RCM expert. I love discussing about RCM because I think it's one of those topics that does not get, talked about enough in our industry. So when I saw this gentleman was an expert at it, I was like, I got to get him on the podcast. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what things are about. And the fact that, it is an honor for me that I know that I am his first podcast. That's a good feeling for me. So, Mr. MB, how you doing?
Doing good. Thank you so much. First of all, Dr. Oji, for giving me this opportunity and platform to showcase the leadership skills, the
Absolutely.
knowledge that I gained over the period of time in the RCM landscape. So, yeah, I'm a little nervous, but at the same time, I'm pretty much excited for this.
Hey, don't be at all, man. We'll figure it out together. And I'm grateful for your time. Whoever, anytime someone comes on my podcast, I'm always grateful because the time is such a greatest asset of our life. And someone gives me their time. I'm very grateful for it. So I'm super thankful for you as well. Well, Mr.
Likewise,
MB, I'm gonna
likewise.
let you introduce yourself and just let our audience know who you are, really what you do, and we just get into the detail of everything.
Sure, absolutely. So my healthcare industry experience started back in 2009 when I joined Medicine, which is also an RCM billing partner right now. So I joined as a trainee over there and I worked at Medicine for 14 long years. And then I switched the vertical from dental to medical. And then I joined EMP Claims, wherein I was working as an assistant manager of client success team. Over there, I worked for about 1.5 years, and I gained expertise in the medical field. And then I joined Advanta Vice. So right now, currently, I'm working as head of client acquisition and success at Advanced Wise, which is also an RCM billing company wherein we provide an expert revenue cycle management services to medical and dental practices across the United States.
That's amazing. Something I want to ask you is for the part of dental in particular, for the audience that may not know, what is the RCM system? Like, what is the RCM? What is intel of it? What is it that, why is it so important for the success of your business and your practice? Can you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Absolutely. So there are different components. In a nutshell, if I have to explain you, there are different work functions. It starts from patient scheduling, registration, then it comes to insurance eligibility and verification, which is a very pivotal work function in the dental RCM field because based upon that information, entire revenue cycle is dependent. If any misinformation during your insurance eligibility and verification, your billing will go for toss, your claim will go for toss, your AR will be stuck, and so on. Then, after the insurance eligibility and verification is done, we provide the information to the practices, to the providers. Basis on that, the treatment is performed, the coding is done, then the claim is generated, submitted, the AR, and after that, once the claim is paid by the insurance, then it gets posted. So it's a complete revenue cycle. There is another component which is called credentialing in revenue cycle management. Is is morely about getting the providers credentialed with the practice through the tax ID.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's something that actually, every time I work for a couple of practices, the credentialing part of the things have become such a complicated process, even when the practices try to do it themselves or they try to get the doctors to get credentialed with the insurance company. As a provider, the insurance companies want to credential you so that you can provide your services to their patient, but my
Correct.
question is why this credentialing process has become so complicated? If at least it feels very complicated and it feels that sometimes they take so long to credential those doctors. Why is
Yep.
that process so long at a time with the insurance companies?
It's not about the complexity of this credentialing work functions. It's more of a lengthiness of this work function, I would say, because it depends payer to payer. For an example, dental, in dental, it typically takes 90 days to get one provider credential. whereas Aetna will get credential will get a particular provider credential within 30 days. So it depends. It varies from a payer to payer. Now, payer guidelines and requirement of the credentialing application that also varies by payer to payer. Whereas one payer requires your entire and complete information starting from your fellowship, your license, and everything. Wherein some insurance they ask for the general information in order to get you credential. But here the factor is it is very much necessary and it is very much advisable to get credential, because if it is not credential, I mean the provider is not credential, then the payment would be out of network.
Yeah, and also we in a recent, maybe in the past a few months, I've been having some conversation with some of the dentists, and some of them even say, "Do you brought something about out of network?" And some of the dentists said, "Hey, man, like when we are actually out of network with some of this insurance, they pay us more than when we are credentialed with the insurance company." So, like, what is I don't know how you find the balance of saying, I'm going to credential, or some insurance have an out of network service and you're getting paid essentially more equivalent of when you're in network with that insurance company. So, like, what is the benefit if the dentist decide to credential themselves or not?
If you are a general dentist, then it is obviously advisable to get credential because the reimbursement rate would be higher when you are in network. If there is any specialty included, like oral surgeon or periodontics, in some cases, out of network provider gets paid higher than the in network providers. So it also depends on the specialty of a particular dentist or a provider in this case. But in general,
Wow.
I have to conclude, yeah, in network gets more
Mhm.
higher reimbursement than an out of network.
Then out of network, I see. And
Yeah.
then as far as like revenue cycle management goes for a dental practice, we discussed the important part of it. Well, when it comes to like system and functionality of it, because there's a lot of time what I think dentists, I mean, at the office that I'm in right now, the biggest
Hmm.
problem we have is that how can we implement systems in place that's going to help us make those processes easier? And I think some dentists have a problem. So when it comes to RCM, there are a lot of options, but how can kind of dentists decide, hey, like this revenue cycle management service is good for me? And some dentists may say, hey, I'm just going to hand it off to my front staff and let them handle it. What is the benefit of outsourcing it rather than keeping it in house? And how do you choose the right RCM company?
Absolutely. So keeping it in-house, obviously, and I'll be very honest here, it is very much expensive compared to the cost which is involved. Now, when it comes to outsourcing, it reduces your overhead cost. Along with that, there are different components included. For an example, it's like you are jack of all trades but master of none. Your front desk staff cannot be a master in each and every work function of an RCM company. You need to have special expert team for each and every work function. One person can have definitely a good amount of knowledge, but that is not an expert. So in this case, leveraging your AI, leveraging your human intervention comes into place. It's a blend and it's a combination of both human people plus automation. It's a deadly combination, and that's a differentiator of an expert and a helpful RCM component.
That's amazing. I love what you said, man. Jack of all trades, but not can master none. That's
Master of
amazing.
none. Yes. Yep.
That's amazing. The other thing is how has, the AI has become such a big topic in cross, I think any profession, doesn't matter what it is, but I think in dentistry in general, the conversation of AI has become the center of everything, right? So how
Yep.
has the AI affect how you guys do RCM? Has it improved things? Is it still early on? Because a lot of the skeptical is around the early on and the early stage of things. And I think a lot of dentists are kind of like, I want to wait and see what happens. Obviously, you're the expert in this area. And what I want to know is how has AI implementation has helped you guys become more efficient in as a result of it, how are you helping dental practices or medical?
That's a good and very interesting topic. So AI is certainly becoming a backbone of the RCM field. For sure. If I talk about my personal professional journey, when I started back in 2009, there was no automation in place. So everything was manual thing, right? If I have to give you one example in this case, eligibility verification. Now there are various and there are tons of insurance out there, and they have their respective payer portals through which the information we need to fetch, we need to key in the information of the patient, fetch the information, and then update it into a various breakdown forms. Now, if we do it manually, it is very time consuming. It is a lengthy process because there are different breakdown forms like full form, short form, partial form, eligibility, ortho breakdown form, and specialty based breakdown forms. Now, if we continue to do it manually, it is a very time consuming, it increases your overhead. But when you leverage, when you blend it with AI, now we can develop an automation wherein we just need to key in the patient information, the information that we required, turn on the automation, and it will run in the backend and it will give you all the information within minutes of time. So that way it saves time. It reduces the cost. It reduces your FT involvement. So it is helping a lot. But ultimately, like I said earlier, it's a blend of people plus automation because AI will definitely not give you 100% accuracy. You need to have a human intervention in place to monitor the work function which is being done and which is being followed by the automation that you have put in place.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think the part that I like is the fact that even with AI, you still need the human touch to make sure that
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
functioning because AI is still such an early stage of things.
Yep.
The one thing I wanted to know is for these smaller private practices that are like one practice, and then you have these larger DSOs, and you have, the doctors that have multiple practices. How can, this one practice kind of utilize the RCM, implement it into their office to kind
Hmm.
of become more efficient? How would they benefit from that? Is it like the staff will get more free time? I just want to know
Absolutely.
how do they, because these larger DSOs, they kind of figured it out, but the smaller practices are kind of still trying to figure out. They're not very business savvy, or the doctor is not business savvy, so they're like, I don't really know where to start from. So I really want to know. I want us to talk about the benefit of why it's important that the dentist says, okay, I need to outsource this to free my staff. I want us to talk about those benefits of that as well.
Sure, absolutely. I'll definitely come to that point. But before that, while we were talking about AI, I missed to put through one point. There is one taboo going on. People feel like when we talk about automation, people will think like, okay, our job is at stake. We'll lose our job. But we need to understand it is not about replacing people, it is helping them. It is giving them the time that they need, that they can focus on the patient care and their own practices growth. That is most important thing. That is the taboo that we all need to work on in order to get rid of it. Now, when it comes to your point, talking about the solo practice, definitely there is a less staffing in place. Depending on the volume of that particular practice, there are, like I explained earlier, there are so many work functions. If you have only one front office staff at your office, then definitely that person will not be able to cater all the work function for your practice. Start from the insurance eligibility verification through your billing, through your posting, the AR follow-ups. It requires hell lot of time. You need to make calls. You need to get involved with the insurance rep. You need to navigate their insurance payer portals. You need to update the information in the practice management system of the practice. Your front desk absolutely cannot handle all these work functions. You need to have an outsourced RCM company which is well versed with all these work functions. So it gives you time to think about your practice's growth. You think about your sustainability in the market, and that is how you grow. Because see, if the front desk is involved in all these work functions, then definitely the frustration will start sparking up, right?
Mm,
Then it also affects the patient experience that the patient is trying to gain
mhm.
when the patient steps in to the practice.
That's such an important thing that you touched up on. And I actually want to I just want us to continue this conversation because it's important. You mentioned something about frustration, right? That frustration builds up. A lot of time, we as practitioners do not realize that that frustration is building up. So when you work with clients, when is the turning point for that client to say, man, I need to outsource this because it is frustrating my staff? Like when is the time for the dental offices to say, I need to outsource this or I'm going to have other problems? Like what are some of the signs that the clinicians need to look for and really make that choice of, I need to outsource this particular thing to a different company so I can focus on this? Because a lot of time we are so clinically focused and we're not paying attention to what's going on. So I want to
Correct.
know, like, when is that time comes for the dentist to say, I need to step out and outsource certain things?
So uh, there are different stages, I would say. First is there are walk-in patients. It's not always about the scheduled patient. There are walk-in patients. That patient just comes in with the insurance card and the patient is requiring the treatment. Now, we get very less amount of time in order to get the insurance eligibility verification done. It has to be done in real-time basis, so that basis on that information, the treatment is performed. Now, if your front office is occupied handling your entire billing service thing, then the front office desk will get very less time. That is one frustration point, that okay, if I'm taking care of this, I'm also taking care of that. It's like I'm doing everything, right? That is number one. Number two, if the insurance eligibility verification is not done, not completed within the timeline, then the treatment will not be performed. That also affects your patient experience. Your patient will never return to your practice. Second thing, and third and most thing, when the providers realize there is a bottleneck in the revenue. I am not getting the revenue which I'm supposed to get because the claims are not being followed in time. My AR is stuck. It is getting aged day by day. Who's there to help me out? Who's there to clean them up? Who's get to get me the recovery of the AR? Who's there to get me the revenue that I'm supposed to get from the payers? It's a timeliness is the key in the RCM.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that you mentioned that I want to kind of discuss with you is you talk about the underpayment or the delayed reimbursement from the
Yep.
insurance, where like sometimes that can take, weeks, months, sometimes for the insurance to even before that, you're underpaid or there's some sort of delay happening. How do you handle that? How do you handle that? And what systems do you need to put in place to make sure that you have something you can track this? Because a lot of time I see that the office, they're just waiting for the EOB to come in, and that EOB takes like 5 weeks before they even realize that the whole thing was denied, right? But what systems you need to put in place to make sure that you're knowing this early on, and how can, what are some of your recommendations with that?
So first thing and foremost, your insurance eligibility and verification work function has to be very, very accurate. That is your first point to make sure that your entire revenue cycle is intact. If any misinformation during that point of time, your entire revenue cycle will go for toss. That is number one. Number two, we need to deploy a robust follow-up process in terms of AR, keeping the aging in mind. Okay, when the treatment is performed, the claim is submitted. Within 30 days, the claim has to be followed up. It gets stuck, it gets delayed, the follow-up get delayed, and that is the reason we are not getting the timely responses from the payers. We are not getting the timely updates that the provider should know about their revenue, about their claims that they have submitted to the payers.
Yeah, that's such an important thing. Going back to the front office, kind of like the staffing part of things, I want to know in your, what is your recommendation as far as what role should the front office staff play in the revenue cycle, or should they not play any role? Should the dentist just outsource that right out the gate and say, our front office is not going to handle our RCM? Or do you just say, hey, let's keep it in house for a little bit and then outsource it? What is kind of like, what do you think is the step that should be like the front staff should or shouldn't play a role in that area?
The front office staff play a very, very big role in the practice. They are like a heartbeat of the practice because they greet patient, they welcome patient. They see, I mean, they are the one who see the patients for the first time, right? If they greet the patients in a very warm and very, very empathetic way, then that sets the tone for the entire treatment that is going to be performed, followed up, right? Now, they need to make sure that the information that the patient brings in along with them, it is very accurately keyed in and updated in the practice management software, because basis on that information, your entire review cycle is dependent. Because any misinformation or any incomplete information, your entire revenue cycle is stuck over there. Because again, you'll be followed up. I mean, you'll be following up with the patient to get that missing information, get it corrected. So again, the entire process get delayed because of that. So their main focus should be to greet patient in a very warm, very, very beautifully, and in a very warm manner. And the second thing is they need to ensure that the information that the patient brings in is updated in the practice management software accurately. Another thing which I could think of is they can definitely take care of. I mean, there are certain work functions of the revenue cycle that generally and typically the practice uh, aim to keep it in-house, is the patient reimbursement and the patient payments. So when it comes to patient
That makes
payments,
sense.
most of the practices prefers to keep it in-house, so that since they are
Mm,
familiar with the patients,
mm,
they have that
mm.
rapport that they have built at the time of registration. So leveraging that rapport, leveraging that relationship, they try to keep it in-house so that they can contact the patient about the patient responsibility that the patient owes.
That's a very interesting kind of way to look at it. At what point, I want to know in the process when the patient enters their insurance information on the tablet, they do their new patient paperwork. At what point do you guys coming to help the practice out with the RCM process? Like, how is their insurance being verified? How are all of, because that's kind of like what you guys do. I want to know when is the time that you guys kind of stepping to the role and saying, okay, we're going to take it from here and we're going to help you get the patient to the chair to do the procedure, having a peace of mind that whatever you do is going to be covered. When do you
Yeah.
guys step into the process?
An RCM company can step in from the very first work function itself, from the patient registration to scheduling, because nowadays in the automation and AI field, there are so many automations in place through which your voice agents will definitely, I mean, will make calls to patient to get the information, to get the patient registration done and scheduling done. And after that, once the information is key in, the insurance eligibility and verification comes to picture and followed by the rest of the work functions. So RCM can step in from the very first point itself. And after
So
that,
even
it
before the,
totally, sorry, please go ahead.
no, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So after that, it also depends on the specific requirement of the practice that, okay, if your billing is intact, if your AR is intact, but you need some help in terms of getting your insurance eligibility verified, then that can be also customized and tailored accordingly.
Mm.
It's not
So
that the
essentially,
practice has to opt in for the entire revenue cycle management cycle. It also depends on the specific requirement of the practice.
so essentially, you guys gonna step in even before the patient comes into the practice. You guys are already collecting all the data, verifying the insurance, doing all that. So when patient walked in, all their information is already verified, rather than
Correct.
coming to the office and having to fill all that paperwork. That's awesome, man. I love that.
Correct.
I think that's
In
so
short,
important.
in short, in short, to patients treatment, post patient treatment, entire thing can be taken care by an RCM billing company.
Wow, that's amazing. The one thing that we've been talking about a lot in dentistry has been the importance of not everything is about the revenue, the cash. The cash is more important than the revenue that
Yeah.
you're having. I want to ask you this: which part of this whole thing in the bigger picture of a success of a practice, which part of it is more important in your opinion? Because you just mentioned we want to have the revenue cycle management, we got to get the revenue, then we got to get to the cash. But obviously, if you don't have the systems, then you can't get to that cash. But for a dental practice to really say we are successful, what are some of the key components that they need to look at to ensure if they are successful or not? Is it only the cash, or is it the revenue, or what are the component that they need to focus on to ensure that that practice or their practice is successful?
Each and every component plays a very uh, pivotal role within itself. For an example, if I have to give you an example, and like I mentioned earlier, insurance eligibility verification. If anything is wrong in your insurance eligibility verification, or your treatment will be performed incorrectly, your claims will be generated incorrectly. So over there, your revenue is straight away stuck over there. Now let's assume your insurance eligibility verification is intact. That's fine, but you do not have a robust work function for the billing. I mean, for the claim submission, if your claim submission are not happening in a timely manner. It has to be submitted within 24 to 48 hours of time once the coding is completed on the claim. So it has to be done within 24 to 48 hours of time. If there is a delay, then there is a gap. After that, once the claim is submitted, it goes to AR. Now, if there is no one to follow on the claims to know what is happening with my claims, where is my revenue, where is my cash, which I'm supposed to get, then that is a problem. And after that, payment posting. You have already received the payment, but it is not getting posted. Then your books will not match the revenue. Your books will not match with the patient. I mean, the volume of the patient, because
Yeah, no, that's
there
so
are
important.
reports. There are reports available in each and every practice management system through which you can track each and every activity of your practice, number of patients visit in a month, and if you calculate the revenue against it, your entire revenue should be in the bank at the end of the month. If it is not there, then there is a problem.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. And the other thing is that what do you see the in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you see the RCM future going to look like? What do you think that's going to be looking like for dental practices?
We have a very bright future. Leveraging the AI in place, it is definitely going to be sustainable in the next 5 to 10 years by now, because I've seen this industry evolve over the period of time. Because I personally, myself, have been in this industry for the last 18 long years. So I've seen this industry evolve. I've seen this industry grown from where I saw it back in 2009. And at the same
So
time, there are so many new RCM companies stepping in. Again, they have the same goal to help to help our healthcare industry, and keep the industry intact and safe through the robust RCM service offerings. So yeah, ultimately it is going to be the same, and sustainable for each and everyone who is there in the market.
yeah, that is awesome. Well, Mr. MB, I just wanted to say, man, I'm so grateful that we got an opportunity to chat. I truly enjoyed our conversation about learning about the RCM, what the RCM is
Yeah,
about. I just want to, for the audience, if they want to find you, what's the best place for them to get in contact with you? And I will put the link in the description
sure.
for everyone to see. But what's the best place they can find you at?
So they can definitely find me on LinkedIn. Nowadays, I'm all on LinkedIn. I mean, I try my best to keep myself engaged with each and every one, because that's a great place to stay
Yes.
connected with the industry,
Yes, indeed.
great minds, to keep yourself up to date with the industry insights, to share knowledge, because knowledge is something, it expands when it is shared. If you keep it within you, it will not expand. So I try to share the insights that I've gained, which I'm gaining by each and every day, with the audience, with the connections that I have made all this I mean all this period of time. So they can definitely find me on LinkedIn. Apart from that, if they have to get in touch with me, my email ID is. So should I tell you my email ID over right now,
Yes,
or?
sure, please. Yes, you can, please. Yes.
So my email ID is Mahesh. It's Mahesh. It is M for Mike, A for Alpha, H for Henry, E for Echo, S for Sam, H for Henry, at Advantawise, ADVANTA, then hyphen wise, WISE.com. It's Mahesh at the rate advantawise.com. And they can also reach me on my cell, which is 617-903-7821. I'm always available 24/7.
Thank you so much, man. I love it. Thank you so much. I am so grateful. This is your first podcast, man. You killed it. I think you even did better than some of the guests that we had. We're not gonna name names.
I'm so overwhelmed by knowing this, and coming from you
No,
makes
man.
a great volume. Thank you.
You're just naturally born to be a podcast host and a guest.
I would definitely highlight this.
Hey, yeah, you should, man. I think you should start. Honestly, I tell people, I think dental industry needs individual like yourself because the education part of it is so important. And that's why I love when I sit and have this conversation, because these are the type of things that they don't teach us in dental school. These are the type of things that we don't learn. So the fact that we're
Correct.
able to sit down and really explain what the RCM is, why is it so important? Like these are the conversations that I like to have with the industry partners to really educate the younger doctors that are leaving dental school to know that dentistry is just not about a clinical, but it's about the business. Because dentistry, at
Yes.
the end of the
Yes.
day, it's business. You got to sell treatment. If they're telling you you're not selling, they're lying to you. You have to sell patient on the treatment.
Absolutely.
It doesn't
Yep.
matter how you look at it. We have to learn those things. We have to understand that we got to build value for our patients. And I'm so grateful that I have these conversations with experts like yourself. You know, that truly I learned a lot from you. I am so grateful for your time, Mr. MB. And we'll keep in
Likewise.
touch. I'm sure we
Likewise.
will have more of these conversations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll probably even reach out to you from my office and figure out what we need to do.
Thank you so much. That would be an honor for sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oji. You have a great rest of your day.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care. Yeah. Bye
Absolutely.
bye.
Bye bye. Sure. Bye bye.